Hey, how you doing? This is Brandon Whited, and today I want to talk about adaptive versus technical problems in regards to two big events in American history. One, a long time ago. One more recent. So, and just to clarify, if you don't know, if you're new here, or if you don't know what adaptive versus technical problem, a technical problem is you have a gouge or a laceration, you got a cut in your arm, needs to be stitched. You go to the doctor, they stitch it, it's done, right? That's a technical problem. It has a solution. It's very simple, and you just need to do it, and then it's over. Like your car is low on oil, put more oil in it, get an oil change. That's a technical problem. An adaptive problem, generally, how I would describe it before giving an example is it involves human behavior, which isn't so easy. Modifying human behavior is one of the hardest things you can do. I mean, look at anyone who raises a child or tries to fix broken adults, people with addictions, people with bad habits. An example of an adaptive problem, the first time I heard of it from Nick Peterson was a doctor is treating someone with cancer. The person is too far gone, stage four, whatever. They're not going to make it. But their emotional family wants to keep on putting money into procedures to try and save this person when it's just not going to work. So the adaptive problem is for that doctor is, well, how do you talk to that family and get them to accept that? You should probably start preparing for that person's death and not spend that money. Maybe put that money towards the grandkids' college or something productive and actually useful because the person isn't going to make it. It's not so easy compared to changing the oil in your car, is it? So two events in American history that I will demonstrate this with is the following. The first one, the most recent one, was the financial collapse of 2008. And during that, the main narrative was that the banks screwed over the people. They did these collateralized mortgaged, what is it, CMOs, collateralized mortgage obligations. So they took all these bad mortgages. They gave these, first off, they gave mortgages out to people who couldn't really afford it at all. The rating agencies, instead of giving them C or D or F ratings, they gave them triple A ratings, and then the banks sold these crap. They sold them as financial products to banks, to other banks, to institutions, to mutual funds. And of course, when everyone stopped paying because they couldn't afford it, it all kind of collapsed, and the banks got bailed out because of that. Now, the narrative was like the banks screwed everyone over, which is true. They were wrong. They shouldn't have done that. The mortgage brokers, they were all responsible. But who else is responsible is the millions upon millions of Americans who took these mortgages that they couldn't afford, that they weren't financially disciplined enough or literate enough to understand what they were signing up for. I mean, the banks didn't these force everyone at gunpoint to sign the line and move into that home they couldn't afford. They did it of their own free will and accord. And so the the actions of millions of Americans also contributed. And when the banks got bailed out, in a way, although the American people didn't get money directly into their pocket, the financial system not collapsing benefits them as well. Who knew what knows what would have happened if all those banks went under back in 2008? And once again, if people were more financially literate, they wouldn't have taken these mortgages in the first place, and there wouldn't have been a collapse. So that is an adaptive problem where millions of people take actions that ultimately break the system on both sides, the banks and the people. But it's played as the people are the victim when they are co-conspirator in their own demise. The second thing was an example is during the Constitutional Convention of 1787. They if like the war was won, the Revolutionary War was won, and they need to create a constitution to bind all the colonies together. And if it doesn't happen, all bad stuff is going to they're going to be separated. There's still England and France like sharks in the water who will probably pick them apart. So they need to come together. But there's a lot of disagreement over what the convention, over what the Constitution should be. And Ben Franklin gives this amazing speech, and I'm going to say part of it right now because, well, it's great. There's a lot of good parts in it. I recommend reading it. But here it is. Much of the strength and efficiency of any government in procuring and securing happiness to the people depends on opinion, on the general opinion of the goodness of the government, as well as the wisdom and integrity of its governors. Now, what this he's saying is, it doesn't matter if you make the perfect system. It doesn't matter if the people who govern it, who maintain it, aren't ethical and don't have integrity. It'll fall apart. It'll be gamed, right? And how this pertains to an adaptive, a technical problem is, so many Bitcoin advocates say Bitcoin solves this. And it's true, Bitcoin isn't a great system, not having to rely on third parties, but it isn't a technical problem. It is an adaptive problem. Many of the financial system's woes comes from human behavior. And yes, Bitcoin is better, but it can be gamed all the same. People will find a way, some way, somehow, to cheat it if they want to, if they're unethical. So Bitcoin does not solve the problem of human behavior. Hope that helps. Hope that's illuminating in some way, shape, or form. And leave your comments in the comments. Take care.